In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve had perfect fellowship with the Lord. They walked with him in the cool of the day. They spent time with him. They had fellowship with him. But in time, Satan, disguised as a serpent, came and beguiled Eve, telling her that it would be okay to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then she in turn gave some to Adam, causing spiritual death or separation from God. But today, in a different garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, which means oil press, which is very appropriate considering the pressure that Jesus was under as he prayed to his Father. And he asked his disciples to pray with him for 1 hour. But as you could see, they simply could not. They slept. And Jesus said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Could you not tarry with me for just 1 hour? And while he contemplated on the task that was before him, he knew that he would have to go to the cross, that he would have to bear the sins of all mankind, and that when he took on those sins, his Father would have to look the other way, and he would bear it alone. He also knew that Judas was about to betray him, but yet he was still willing to go. We think we're under so much pressure in life, but Jesus was under so much pressure, and he can understand your pressure. But he was under so much pressure that he sweat great drops of blood. And he cried out to his Father, Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. But he said, nevertheless, not my will, Father, but yours be done.
With his disciples, he went to Gethsemane, as he had done so often in the past. He fell on his face, cried out in prayer from the garden, it would be his last. Travailing in grief to the point of death, sweat drops of blood began to flow. All the events that would soon take place, only the Son of God could know. And he cried, Father,
if it's possible, take this cup, take it from me. Yet not my will, but thine be done, so that mankind can be redeemed.
And he cried,
Father, if it's possible, take this cup, take it from me. Yet not my will, but thine be done, so that mankind can be redeemed.
Oh, Father. He came back to find them sleeping and said, could you not watch for just 1 hour? You must keep watching and keep on praying, lest you fall into temptation's power. Without a doubt, he knew the time would come, his life on earth as he known it to end. He knew the hour would come for him to be betrayed into the hands of those who sin. And he cried,
Father, if it's possible, take this cup, take it from me. Yet not my will, but thine be done, so that mankind can be redeemed.
And he cried,
Father, if it's possible, take this cup, take it from me. Yet not my will, but thine be done, so that mankind can be redeemed.
Oh, Father.
Jesus was teaching in the temple when all of a sudden the scribes and the Pharisees dragged in a woman. They put her before Jesus and said, "This woman has been caught in adultery. In the very act, the law commands us to stone such a woman. What do you say?" Then Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground and said, "He who is without sin among you, let him be the first to cast a stone." And one by one, they left. Then Jesus stood up and asked the woman, "Where are your accusers? Did no one condemn you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." And now, Jesus, an innocent man who's done no wrong, stands before Pilate, falsely accused, waiting to hear his verdict from man.
Ah, Barabbas. We all know him well. He was a notorious criminal, a murderer. He spent his whole life causing harm to others and proud of it. How he must have brought shame to his parents. His parents? No one knows who they are. They could be anybody. His name, Barabbas, means son of father. Any father. Unidentifiable, unspecific. He could be any one of us. Barabbas is guilty. We're all guilty. We all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. How could this be that there would be a choice between sin and the sinless?
We all watched that day. The multitudes gathered closely. It was customary at the feast that Pilate released one prisoner that the people requested. The scribes and Pharisees had gone through the city, stirring up the people, convincing them that Jesus was a heretic and that they should ask for Barabbas. Pilate knew they had delivered him up because of envy. None of the accusations were worthy of death. Pilate's wife pleaded with him not to do anything to Jesus, for she'd been warned by God in a dream, but Pilate wouldn't listen to her. He didn't want to displease the crowd, so he asked them who they wanted to have released to them. "Barabbas," they shouted. Then he asked, "What shall I do with Jesus?" And they cried out to him, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" And fearing a riot, Pilate cowardly washed his hands in front of them and said, "I am innocent of this man's blood." And the crowd answered him and said, "His blood be upon us and our children." And so it is.
Stood before the crowd that day. One would die, one would go his way. The verdict would depend on what the people would say. One was innocent, he'd done no wrong. His name was Jesus, he was the Son of God. He stood with the sinner who was guilty of all. His very name was a revelation. Barabbas, every father's son. The crowd would decide who would live, who would die. They mocked and jeered, and with their voices they cried out, "Give us Barabbas! Let Jesus be crucified!" Barabbas, you were the one who was guilty. You were the one who should have died. Oh, Barabbas, you should have been crucified. Barabbas, Jesus took your place and you were free. He hung on your cross at Calvary. Oh, Barabbas, Barabbas in reality is you and I. Barabbas, what did you do when they whipped Jesus instead of you? Led him up that hill to the place where he would die. Did you join the crowd and mock him that day? Did you run away? Or did you stay? Did you care at all? He took your place when he was crucified. Barabbas, you were the one who was guilty. You were the one who should have died. Oh, Barabbas, you should have been crucified. Barabbas, Jesus took your place and you were free. He hung on your cross at Calvary. Oh, Barabbas, Barabbas in reality is you and I. Barabbas, you were the one who was guilty. You were the one who should have died. Oh, Barabbas, you should have been crucified. Barabbas, Jesus took your place and you were free. He hung on your cross at Calvary. Oh, Barabbas, Barabbas in reality is you and I.
I was sitting by the road when I heard a large crowd coming. I was blind and couldn't see, but someone told me it was Jesus of Nazareth. I heard stories about him healing everywhere he went, and now he was about to pass me by. I began to cry out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Those gathered around me warned me to be quiet, but I just cried out all the more, "Jesus, Jesus, have mercy on me." Then he stopped and I called for me. I threw off my beggar's cloak and jumped up and came to him. He asked me, "What do you want me to do for you?" And I said, "I want to regain my sight." And he said, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." Immediately I regained my sight and began to follow him.
He was despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. We hid as if it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed.
What sin has made him guilty of the stripes upon his back?
What sin deserves so many blows? 39 the count, in fact.
And what lawless deed did he commit to cause himself such shame? There was no sin, only love to blame. Because of love, he was wounded for our transgressions. Because of love, he was bruised for our iniquities. Because of love, he took upon himself all our sorrows. And for that love, he took the stripes, so we are healed. Because of love, he was wounded for our transgressions. Because of love, he was bruised for our iniquity. Because of love, he took upon himself all our sorrows. And for that love, he took the stripes, so we are healed. And for that love, he took the stripes, so we are healed.
My daughter was dying at the very point of death. I had to get to this man, Jesus. He was my only hope. I found him and fell at his feet. I begged him, please come and lay your hands on my daughter that she may live. And he began to follow me, and the crowds kept pressing in all around. Then all of a sudden, Jesus stopped and said, "Who touched my garment?"
It was me. For 12 years, I'd suffered greatly with internal bleeding. I'd been to every physician I could find, and I spent all I had only to get worse instead of better. I, too, heard of this man, Jesus. I heard he healed the sick, cast out demons, and even raised the dead. I knew that if I could just touch him, I would be healed. I pressed my way through the crowd and was finally able to reach out and touch the hem of his garment. Then he stopped. He knew immediately that power had gone forth from him. He asked, "Who touched me?" I was trembling as I fell at his feet and told him the truth. It was me. And he said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed."
That's when the messenger came and brought the news that it was too late. My daughter was already dead. That I didn't need to trouble Jesus any further. But when Jesus heard of this, he turned to me and said, "Do not be afraid, only believe." So we continued to my house where they were weeping and wailing. But Jesus said that my daughter was not dead, but sleeping. They all began laughing at him. He put them all out and went into her. He took my daughter by the hand and said, "Little girl, arise." And she immediately got up. She's alive. No one has power and compassion such as this.
As they lied and they ridiculed, their suffering at the hands of sinners had only just begun. Not one of them knew that as they did these things, they were standing in the presence of a holy king. He's the one who'd make a way of salvation when it all was done.
They slapped him, mocked him, and beat him low. They placed on his shoulders a kingly robe. They spat in his face and scourged him mercilessly. Woven thorns would be his crown. Blood drops flowed down upon his brow. But in each one he could see every soul that be redeemed. Mercy, the Lord had mercy on me. He chose to go to the cross, sin sacrifice to be. He had mercy, mercy, the Lord had mercy on me. For I was one of the souls he paid the price to set free. He had mercy, he chose to go to the cross, sin sacrifice to be. He had mercy, 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 the Lord had mercy on me. For I was one of the souls he paid the price to set free.
We got into the boat with Jesus to go to the other side. Jesus fell asleep in the stern. Before long, a great storm came, and we were tossed and covered with waves. We were so afraid, so we woke Jesus, saying, "Don't you care that we die?" Then Jesus got up and spoke to the wind and said, "Peace, be still." And the wind died down, and it became perfectly calm. Then he said to us, "Why are you fearful? Where is your faith?" We looked at one another and marveled. What man is that the wind and the sea obey him?
One day Jesus asked us, "Who do people say that I am?" And we that were there answered, "Some say John the Baptist. Some say Elijah, Jeremiah, even one of the prophets." Then he asked me, "But whom do you say that I am?" And I answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Then Jesus said to me, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father whom is in heaven. And he said that I was a stone, and that upon this rock he would build his church, and that the gates of hell would not prevail against it." I surely am not the only one with this revelation.
The soldiers pushed the crowds away from Jesus. They pressed in all the more so they could see. And that road became the Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering. The burden of the cross was on his shoulders. They watched him as he fell beneath the load. As an innocent lamb led to slaughter, his blood drops fell all along the dusty road. Of Calvary, his blood, the scarlet thread of redemption, paid the price to set the sinner free. Hated without cause and forsaken, Holy Son of God, condemned to die. Is it possible that he would be delivered? Who would then deliver you and I? It was just for the unjust, righteousness for unrighteous men. The light of the world, the good shepherd, the perfect Lamb of God, who takes away our sin. And the blood of the Lamb bought my pardon when they nailed him to the cross of Calvary. Pay the price to set the sinner free. The Son of God laid down his throne to redeem our lives with his very own. You and me.
It was a week before the Passover. Jesus and the disciples were at Simon's house, reclining at the table. My brother Lazarus was there too. My brother, the one who had been dead for 4 days, but Jesus called him out of the tomb and gave him back to us. The Master said earlier that he was going to suffer and be crucified at the hands of sinners. I did not know when that would happen. All I knew is that he was there now, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to show him how much I loved him. I took my most valuable possession, an alabaster box of costly perfume. I broke it open and I poured it on him and wiped his feet with my hair. The house filled with the fragrance. Then the disciples got upset and began scolding me, saying that I was wasteful and I could have sold it and gave the money to the poor. But Jesus said, "Let her alone. She has done a good deed to me. The poor you have with you always, but you do not always have me. She has anointed my body for burial. Oh, how I love him."
He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before its shears, so he did not open his mouth.
That reads, King of the Jews, for what he's accused of. Place it on top of the cross. Soldiers! Prepare to raise the cross! Ready? Up!
My son! My son! What have you done? My son! Oh, my son! Oh, what have you done to my
Don't tell me. Let me guess. A king? Of course. I can tell just by looking at him. Can't you? And it looks like he's been lifted up and in such high esteem. Ooh, I tremble at his power. Don't you? Where are all of his followers? I don't see one. Your mother, maybe. But mothers are like that. It's their job, you know. You keep saying to everyone, the kingdom of heaven, it's at hand. Some impact you've made. Look what you've got to show. Well, you have plans and grand ideas. So what's your problem? Trouble following through. And where are those angels
Now, let me get this right. You save others, but you can't save yourself? If you come down right now, they'll all believe. King of the Jews? Son of God? Whatever! Now let's see. You'll destroy the temple and rebuild it in how many days? Oh yeah, 3? I think you better hurry. I guess things didn't turn out quite like you expected. I'm not surprised. That was quite a proposition you made, don't you think? Now, how is this plan of yours gonna work with you hanging up there like a rag doll? Aww, is that blood in your eye? Or did you wink? Well, you had plans and grand ideas. So what's your problem? Trouble following through? And where are all those angels, you know, who obey your commands? Why don't they show up now and come and rescue you? Ha! Gonna save the world. Yeah. Look at you. Great plan. I rest my case.
Nicodemus is my name. I'm a Pharisee. I didn't want anyone to know I came to talk to Jesus, so I came to him at night. I said to him, "Rabbi, we know you came from God as a teacher, for no one can do the miracles you do unless God is with him." Jesus answered me and said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." And I said, "How can a man be born again when he is old?" Jesus answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of spirit is spirit." And I said, "How can these things be?" He said, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life."
I am a Roman soldier. I've come face to face with death, but I was frightened when darkness filled the land. Rocks were splitting open and the earth began to shake. I've never heard of such a thing since time began. I carried out my orders like I've always done, 'cause prisoners must face their penalties. But this one, he was different, and I didn't know just why. I found out too late just who this man would be. And I throw away the hammer, I refuse to drive the nails. Things will turn out differently somehow. I stopped this thing from happening, I refuse to be a part. If only I knew then what I know now. I've heard of the commotion. They said that he had caused
stories of him healing through the land. I hadn't paid attention to the message that he brought, but today, here at the cross, I began to understand. As I stand here gazing, I am in awe. I can feel the rain blowing in the wind. But as I look closer, it isn't rain at all, but it's the blood of Jesus, and it's falling for my sin. And I throw away the hammer. I refuse to drive the nails. Things would turn out differently somehow. I stop this thing from happening. I refuse to be a part. If only I knew then what I know now. What have I done? Take a look at this man. He's hanging on the cross because of me. I heard his final words, and I saw him breathe his last. He is the Son of God. Truly, I believe. So I throw away the hammer. I refuse to drive the nails. Things will turn out differently somehow. I stop this thing from happening. I refuse to be a part. If only I knew then what I know now. Truly, this man is the Son of God.
Destined for this place, they fell at the foot of a wooden cross. Not one of them fell in vain. Crimson drops on a dusty hill washed my sins away. He knew the pain he would suffer when he paid the price. He knew the torment that awaited him there. He knew the grief and the shame and the weight of the burden he alone was able to bear. The power of the enemy had to be broken and the price paid once and for all. But the cross wasn't greater than the love of the Savior, Jesus the Son of God. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, dark and troubled day. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, destined for this place. They fell at the foot of a wooden cross, not one of them fell in vain. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, washed my sins away. Release the flow of the blood that fell upon the ground. Stripped and pierced, soldiers gambled for his robe as his eyes beheld the mocking crowd. He said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they do. And with the final breath his life was gone. Jesus is the Son of God. Crimson drops on a dusty, dark and troubled day. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, destined for this place. They fell at the foot of a wooden cross, not one of them fell in vain. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, washed my sins away. It was his blood, it was his lifeblood shed for me. It was his blood that paid the price to set the sinner soul free. Crimson drops on a dusty hill, washed my sins away.
Was this man who claimed to be the Son of God really dead? Was it over? His disciples believed that he was the Messiah, that he was the one to come to set his people free. But now he was dead. He had been crucified. Was Satan and his hordes correct when they mocked him, when they slapped him and they said you freed others and you couldn't free yourself? Were they all right? Had Satan won? On the first day, it seemed everything was hopeless. Nothing was going on. There was total quiet. And he was in the tomb. He was buried. Surely this was the one to come, but how could it be? He said, if you destroy this temple, I'll raise it up in 3 days. What did he mean? He did many miracles. He healed the sick, caused the lame to walk, even raised people from the dead. But what now? He was in the tomb. The Pharisees and Sadducees said he did it by Beelzebub, or by Satan, or by demonic power, that he was deceiving the people. Were they right? Nothing's happening. But on the second day, even though there was nothing happening to the visible eye, Jesus went to death, hell, and the grave. And he snatched up the keys. He took them from Satan and he dragged them through hell. And he openly triumphed over him. He took those keys and showed him that he was truly the Son of God. And he said, death, where is thy victory? Grave, where is thy sting? But on the morning of that third day,